Good morning, Matt Bisogno here again, and welcome to day 3 of Ticks Week. So far this week we've looked at the plus simple variant of PlaySpot and Jackpot Play. On the second day we looked at ABCX, and today we're going to look at plus Pro. Now, if Pro scares you a bit or sounds a bit complicated, don't worry, it's not as tricky as it sounds, and I'm going to show you all about it now. Before I show you that, let's just have a look at how the Tuesday play went, and and then we'll look at Plus Pro. Okay, so I've used the download from Ticks, the Ticks Bets tab. Here, I've used that to get an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV, with all of the bets in it, and then I've just formatted it so you can see a little bit more clearly how we got on. So this was Tuesday's selection, and you can see that the stake was £22, and the return was a profit of £53.17. So that was good. We lost 20 odd pounds on Monday, my strong view in the second race coming unstuck, but we're nicely in front on the week, and as today will be the third and final framework, we're definitely the example play spots are definitely going to come out in front, so that's always helpful. Now, I did also, this was ABCX, which I showed you Tuesday. I was at Wincanton yesterday, and I did also play the PlaySpot at Wincanton, and on this occasion, although I had winning tickets, I made a loss of £6.74 on a stake of £28. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I want you to know that that can happen, that you can have ostensibly a winning bet, that you can get the PlaySpot up but still lose money. Annoyingly, the jackpot yesterday was at Kempton, not at Wincanton, because I did have all 6 winners on A and B there, so that would have definitely paid a couple of quid more, but there we go, that's life. So anyway, that's what I wanted to show you there, and now we'll go and look at Plus Pro. So the truth is, I'm not in love with any of the cards today in terms of strong prospects. So for the purposes of this video, I think I'm going to go speculative, and seeing as we're on the front foot P&L wise this week, we're going to have a crack at Clonmel. Now, it's heavy there. They abandoned their 2 chase races, the last 2 here, so it's a 6 race card, and yeah, it's going to be very, very wet there. It's low grade stuff as well, so huge caveat emptor on this. If you decide to play Clonmel or follow me in any way, know that it could be a fool's errand. Okay, with that said, let's get to Ticks, and we are going to play today the Ticks Plus variant at Clonmel. Now, this pool will significantly increase as the day goes on, but it probably won't be. It probably won't get to this sort of 25,000 level. Now, there are a couple of things that I want to point out to you about Irish PlaySpots, which are a little bit different from UK PlaySpots, and largely it's a function of the smaller pools of money there. There are some opportunities that present themselves, which are unique to Irish, in my experience anyway, unique to Irish tracks and their PlaySpots as opposed to the UK ones. So let's take a look at the first race. It's a big field, but it's a maiden hurdle. Seems a strange time of year to be losing your maiden tag, because if you win a maiden this time of year, you've only really got another month or so as a novice, whereas if you if you just keep hold of it for a little while longer, you can be a novice for the whole of next season. Anyway, these guys know what they're doing. So this is Willie Mullins at the top. He's got an odds-on favourite here. Frustratingly today, our odds supplier is having problems, so the odds being displayed are not as current as they should be. So I'm going to use Odds Checker to help me out, which I do find annoying, but there we are. Okay, so we can see that top of the market is strong. We can see that Kylie's Place has been well backed, was 5-1, is now 7-2. These are both Willie Mullins horses, stronger than the Elliott horse here. Mullins won the race 2 years ago, but that's no big deal because he wins all sorts of races, particularly at this maiden hurdle level. I'm kind of inclined to just go with the favourite. He ran over this distance on this ground last time out, got beaten 4 lengths by the winner, but beat everything else in a similarly large field. I'm going to need some bullets to fire later on, so I'm going to bank on Arcadian Emperor here. Now, what I haven't done is told you what the hell is going on this tab. So, if you remember from Monday, we had a view that looked like this. This is the simple view. We've got the horse number, the horse name, whether you want to include it or not, and the current odds. And of course, if our blooming odds were working properly today, we'd see green and red arrows here to indicate the direction of travel, whether a horse is strong in the market or weak in the market. We don't have that, so we're relying on Odds Checker there. The difference between simple and pro are these two columns here. So let me explain what they are, and then it will make a lot more sense as I show you what they are. So the percentage column works out how much of 100%, give or take, it's not always 100%, but roughly 100%, each horse's odds in the context of all of the horses are. So in this case, we've got Arcadian Emperor taking up 40% on our calculations, Speculateur 15, Kylie's Place and Le Roi d'Olivet 10% each. And if we sum all these, we get 40 plus 15 is 55, plus 20 is 75, 80, 85, 90, and then a whole bunch of ones down here to get us to 100. You'll also notice at the bottom there is unnamed favourite, and that's a 0. So, in this case, I've only selected one horse, and so that horse is going to take 100% of my stake through this race. If I select another horse, let's say I choose Speculateur, then the percentages of my money going through this race are divvied up between the two horses based on their percentages here. So, for example, if I also make Speculateur 40% here, you'll see that they have the same amount. So basically, the amount of money that each horse carries of my budget is a prorated percentage here. On the simple version, you never see those numbers. It's doing all that calculation in the background solely based on the current odds. In the pro version, we can overwrite that to suit ourselves. So for instance, in this race, let's say that I thought Arcadian Emperor and Speculateur had much more closely aligned chances. I thought they were, it was a coin toss between the two. Then I can reflect that in this way. I don't happen to think that in this case, so I'm just going to leave Arcadian Emperor as a banker, and he's going to carry all of my stake through this leg. So hopefully that makes sense. In the upcoming races, I'll illustrate this further because I will be using multiple horses. Okay, so in leg 2 we have one of those rare breed these days, a claiming hurdle. Now what tends to happen in claiming hurdles is that the money comes very late, and so regardless of whether our odds are a bit stuck at the moment or not, these markets I would expect them to change quite a bit later on. You can see if you look at the form figures here that they're all, you know, nothing is particularly in form. In fact, they're all fairly badly out of form, which is why they're running in this race. I'm going to spread out, and I make no apology for that. There are a few guys in here who are, let's call them wily, so they wouldn't be the most trustworthy of connections. Let's say that if you had to have your last bet on one of their runners. And to that end, Charles Burns won this race last year, another of those types of character. It's a race where there isn't an obvious pace set up. It's suggesting possible lone speed, but this Fair Damsel did lead last time, but doesn't generally, and nothing else generally leads either. So this race is a bit of a mess. And because it's a bit of a mess, I'm just going to spread out. I'm not even going to try to be clever here. I'm going to go down as far as Cassid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to take 7 horses here, not the 5 and not the 4. Not the 5. And not the 4. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take unnamed favourite, and when I select that, you see it says set unnamed favourite percentage. If I don't put a number in this box here, this one's not going to get included in the bet. So because I'm absolutely clueless in this race, I've got 8 horses here, and I'm going to make them all 12.5% chance, and by doing that they should all, having a little bit of finger trouble here, just bear with me, microphone's in the way. They should all have the same stake running through them. So you can see I added one there that I haven't included. That's irrelevant. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times £12.5% makes 100%. So yeah, I'm looking for something a little bit wild and random to happen here, and it's the sort of race where that could happen. Okay, let's go on to race 3, and again we're a little bit hamstrung by the odds not being current at the moment. I hope they'll fix that before racing starts today. Now this is a 0 to 100 handicap hurdle. It's low grade stuff. And what we've got here, I just want to kind of illustrate something. If you look at the form figures, these Irish place pots, they tend to be heavily led by promising form figures in the recent string. So if we, for example, look at these 2 horses, Chem Dog and Finicky Filly, my guess is that Chem Dog with 3334, a consistent sort, but who doesn't trouble the judge at the winning end of the spectrum very often, will be more heavily bet in the place pot than Finicky Filly, who has got a P there and a 5 and another P. They're both 5 to 1 shots, pretty much 9 to 2 shots. But my guess is that Chem Dog will take the most money in the pool. And then we've got horses like Coolio Kate and Robin Davida Star, 10 to 1 shots with no form at all. These horses probably got very, very little money in the place pot pool, even though they're taking support and are the 4th and 5th favourites in a 11 runner race. So I'm going to include certainly the 7 and the 11. I'm going to actually look at the form of this race a little bit and see which are the heavy ground horses, if any. I just want to stretch this out a bit, and we can see that Robin Davida Star has got a couple of good runs on heavy, also run well at the track a couple of times. So yeah, we can see why that one's in there. I'm going to take these top four here because they are basically the horses here. I'm also going to include that Coolio Kate, who, as you can see, has not had many goes yet, so can improve. So I've got 7, 4, 7, 8, 10, 11. I just need to look at that Blue Reed a second. Yeah, been running on heavy ground and actually been running quite well in big fields. This is 2 miles on heavy. Probably going to include that as well. I'm just conscious that I can't include all of them. So I'm going to take the 4, the 7, 8, 10, 11. I'm going to leave Blue Reed out. 4, 7, 8, 10, 11. 4, 7, 8, 10, 11. But I'm going to mess around with the percentages here. Interestingly, it looks like we might... yeah, we now have our odds refreshed. That's good. Marvellous. So we can use these now. So I can get rid of odds checker. Huzzah. Okay, so 4, 7, 8, 10, 11 are the ones I'm going to use. And I'm going to mess around with the percentages a bit. Like Court Brack Boy is on the basis of this most recent run, which was here over course and distance. Was beaten far enough, it should be said. But we've had a winner come out of the race since, and everything else was behind. I'm definitely using that with, I'm going to say 40%, and then I'm not going to be too clever with the rest. I'm going to put 15 on each of those. So again, that sums to 100 here. I definitely want this 7-11 combination. These two horses with no obvious form. These will be under bet in the pool, and this is something that, you know, whether you're playing Irish play spots or UK play spots, you need to be aware not just of which horses you think can make the frame, but also which horses you think will be under bet and therefore offer some value in the pool. And those two look like strong candidates in that context. All right, let's move on. Race 4 is the second division of the same race. We've got 10 runners here. We've got a few first or second time in a handicap. We've got one here with a whole bunch of stats. This thing, 25 to 1. Trainer has a pretty good record first time in a handicap. Do I want to put it on the play spot, or do I just want to bet it each way? I probably just want to bet it each way. No money for it yet, so that's... Yeah, he's an interesting horse anyway, this Cry Before Dawn. And if you look at the form figures here, I mean, I can tell you now that... I can't tell you now, but I project that King Bob is going to be the horse with the most money in the play spot, even though he's twice the price of Hearty Cup. Simply because he's got 3s in his form profile, whereas all the other ones have got a much less attractive profile. Again, we've got two horses here, Max Meridas and Falcon Park, with no obvious form, both taking support, both need to be on the play spot ticket to some degree. The one horse here, Comanche Moon, is Charles Burns. Now, the thing about this guy, I'll be honest, I don't like him. I can't get him right, and almost nobody can. And because even the bookmakers can't get him right, they always put his horses in defensively short. In other words, this horse, well, let's have a look. Actually, we can't look because we don't have the odds history today, but I'm confident this horse would have opened up about 4-1 last night. It's now 9-1 at coming up 11 o'clock, and who knows? I mean, it might go off at 4-1, but more likely it's going to go off at sort of 10, 12, 14, 16-1. I tend to leave Charles Burns horses out entirely unless I can make a form case for them. This wasn't a bad run here. Probably wasn't expected to run that well. But I think there will be a day for this horse. You can see he's only had 2 runs in handicaps, had a few goes in maidens. He probably didn't deserve a rating of 97 for his opening mark. He got left on 97. He's only been dropped 2 here. The handicapper is not taking any chances with this horse. He's not going to be on my ticket anyway. Hearty Cup, Robert Tyner, second time in a handicap. Very fair, 51% percentage of rivals beaten. 1 winner, 3 placed. He's a McManus horse. Similar comments apply to McManus horses. They can drift wildly on the show. The early signs are that this horse has taken support, and we have to respect that. King Bob is a horse to try to get beat. He's been running on better ground. In fact, he's been running on good and yielding ground, and then you go yielding to soft, soft, soft to heavy, heavy, and this is going to be heavy because it's still raining. So I mean, that's kind of a reason to get him beat, I think, unless the pedigree lends any. Let's just see if he's got any form at all on this kind of ground. No, never run on this. What about the sire, number 10? So the sire would give some hope, albeit from a tiny sample size, just 4 runs on heavy. I'm going to include him, but I'm going to include him with less than his book percentage. So he's showing as 25% on here. I'm going to include him with only 15, and I'm going to have a bit more on this guy, 40. Actually, I'll put that 20, so that's 60, and I'm going to make up the other 40% to make 100 from these other runners. I'm definitely taking these two. I think just need to have a look at that Don Rua Dream a second. Yeah, 1 on heavy last time, gone up £9 for that. Drop back in. Trainer said regarding apparent improvement in form, drop back in trip and first time application of blinkers and cash today may have brought it about. Yes. Okay. It had a lot of goes before that, to be fair, and on this sort of ground without making much of an impression. So I'm not sure this horse can back that run up. I think I'm going to be against it, even though this guy is on my list of interesting Irish trainers. Maybe I'm just going to put a bit on him. I'm going to do 15% on these 2 guys, and I'm going to have a bit more on Max Meridas, Tony Mullins. First time in a handicap, 0 from 15. I mean, this is a track for him, but yeah. Wasn't beaten that far last time, behind a very good horse in El Kairos. Ran behind Skylight Hustle. Actually, he's run behind some very good horses, to be fair. Kind of hard to peg this flat form. We're just going to go with the market there. Falcon Park is on my... Shark Hanlon is a very low strike rate trainer. I mean, he's 0 from 18. He's 4% in the last year. You just kind of have to let those beat you, even though that's been bet today. I mean, I respect the blue, but I just don't like either of these. I can't put more than 10% on either of them. So I'm going to make these 20, I think, and that's going to do me. I'm probably going to bet this Cry Before Dawn. Very small, and with one of these bookmakers offering, no one's offering 4 places here. They shouldn't be. There's only 10 runners. Yeah, I might have a look at that Cry Before Dawn, but you can't go on the play spot. Let's move on. Okay, so the 5th race, penultimate leg of the play spot, is a slightly better race, and that is Damning It with the faintest of praise, it must be said. 8 runners, 1 non-runner gives us a problem, because we'll go from 3 places to 2. We've got a Charles Burns handicap debutant here. You can see that he doesn't tend to do it in handicaps first time. Just a 6% place rate from 17 in the last 2 years. 0 from 16 in the last month, but they've been running okay. PRB above 50%. Course form is, I'm not betting that horse. There are others. This one is a handicap debutant no, that's hopeless as well. The horse actually has a bit of form. Won a maiden hurdle on soft to heavy at this sort of trip. That was 2.5 years ago. Had a run in December, beaten out of sight, and then ran in a charity race here. Not beaten that far. That would have brought him on fitness wise. I'm not really sure what to make of that. No clues in the market. I think on balance this is a top of the market job. Mount Frisco is quite a reliable sort, albeit that the ground won on heavy a couple of years ago, just over a couple of years ago, and Is Charlie Around has run well twice on heavy. I am not going to complicate this one. I will have a quick look at Bossing It, just because that's one of these less obvious horses with 0.7 here. Went up to 2.5 miles, didn't get home, dropped back to 2 miles, didn't really sparkle that day either. Has had a break since then. Its best form is on better ground. I'm not mad about it. I'm just going to stick with 2 and 5, and I'm going to do half each on those 2. Oops, 50% each, and that will do me. And then I've got another handicap hurdle, I think. Yep, another 0 to 100. There's 3 miles this time, and 17 runners, so gosh, anything could happen here. We have got a couple of handicap debutants. This trainer is I don't know anything about her, to be fair. This horse is having its second run in a handicap. It finished last on its first run in a handicap, dropped 10 for that, and jockey claim means it's dropped 17. That still might not be enough. It's been beaten out of sight in those other races. Just tongue-tie and cheek pieces first time. Nope. This one steps up in trip. Headway and went second after 3 out. Not impossible. Trainer has had 2 placed from 5 runners, second time in a handicap. The Diamond Island is mildly interesting. A little bit of money for that, which is not a surprise. Further up the list, we should focus on this favourite, which is 2 to 1 in a 17 runner field. Won a similar race over fences last time, handicap chase. This is a handicap hurdle. Was favourite, won easily off 84, runs here off 84. Fair to say hurdling form is not quite to the same level, but still was competitive the time before. off the same mark. It's a very obvious horse to go on the ticket, isn't it? So we're going to do that. We're going to have at least 50% of, might change that in a second. Now these two horses next in the market, Milan Away and Rocker Baker, you can see again they've got 1s and 2s and 3s in their recent form. They are definitely going to be well bet in the market, so we need to try and get these beaten if we can. This horse ran well under similar conditions last time, same mark today. Probably going to be hard to beat that. Also won a handicap hurdle off a similar rating a few runs back. This race has an average rating of 90. That's in line with the second place last time. So I'm not, although I like this horse off the ticket, I'm not going to try to get it off the ticket. Likewise, this guy has also been running competitively in its last 3 starts. This one is held up, whereas this one tends to lead or race prominently. So I kind of feel like one or the other of those two probably does hit the frame. And I'm going to include them both. And I'm actually going to I'm going to make that 60, and that 20, and that 20. And that's me. Now, what you see on the tickets tab is that I've actually, if we look down at the bottom here, I've got a stake of £20 for this bet. If I try to combine 3 by 2 by 5 by 5 by 8 by 1, it comes to 1,200 bets. My staking approach, where I want more on the more likely combinations, means that I'm only getting a little over half of all the possible permutations bet. So I'm missing 529 tickets here, 529 possible combinations. They're all very low percentage chances to win. So these 6 horses here have a less than 0.04% chance, less than, what is that, less than 4 in 10,000 chance of winning, which is different from placing, by the way. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that there are lots of combinations here that I haven't got, that the bets won't be placed for, and if one of those combinations hits, I'll be a loser. These are the combinations that I've got. If I'm not happy with that, I can go back and either add more budget. So if I made this £30, for instance, I've now got many more of my combinations staked, and I've got more money on other combinations. I don't really want to do that today, do I? Actually, I think I will, seeing as I'm in front on the week. It's a bit gung-ho, especially on such a frankly stinky place pot as this one, but I'm going to do that. Yeah, why not? And we'll see what we get. So place all bets. Okay, job done. And my bets for today are these. So we'll see how we get on, and that is Tix Plus Pro. It's the same as Simple, but with the user having much more configuration control over exactly where your stake goes. Tomorrow will be the final day of Tix Week, and then tomorrow we'll have a look at this placepot and how it went, but mostly I want to tell you a few tips and tricks for playing placepots and various other things you can do. For instance, one of the things I'm going to do today is this Arcadian Emperor, which carries all of my £30. I'm going to go to Betfair and I'm going to lay it for a place, because it's a very cheap lay. So I'll be able to lay £30 is going to cost me about £3 or £4 to insure my stake. Now sometimes I just do insure some of my stake, but this is one of the tips and tricks that you need to be aware of to protect your bankroll when you're playing PlaySpot and jackpot bets. Okay, hopefully at least some of that made sense. This has been a slightly longer video with a tricky old PlaySpot at Clonmel today. We'll see how we go, and I'll report back tomorrow. Okay, bye for now.